In the late 1940s, a story began circulating about a classified Soviet experiment in which 5 political prisoners were allegedly kept awake for 30 consecutive days inside a sealed chamber, exposed to a stimulant gas designed to eliminate the need for sleep. The document describing the experiment claims that during the first 72 hours, the subjects remained coherent, displaying only mild irritability and cognitive slowing, effects that modern sleep research would consider predictable, as even 48 to 72 hours without sleep is known to impair attention, memory, and emotional regulation. But as the days reportedly stretched further, something darker began to unfold. Scientific literature confirms that prolonged sleep deprivation can induce hallucinations, paranoia, and severe dissociation. After 4 to 5 days without sleep, the brain begins to enter micro-dream states while still awake, blurring the boundary between perception and imagination. According to the alleged report, by day 5 the subjects began whispering to unseen observers, exhibiting extreme distrust toward one another, a symptom consistent with sleep loss-induced psychosis. One prisoner reportedly screamed for hours until he physically damaged his vocal cords, an act that may sound theatrical, yet acute insomnia has been documented to trigger extreme agitation and loss of impulse control. By the 9th day, the account describes the men covering observation windows and refusing to speak. In real-world laboratory settings, extended sleep deprivation has been shown to alter facial musculature tone, reduce blinking coordination, create tremors, and produce a hollowed, sunken appearance due to hormonal imbalance and cortisol elevation. The face does not mutate, but it does change. Skin pales, eyes redden, muscles weaken, and expression control deteriorates, creating an almost unrecognizable version of the same person. When fresh air allegedly entered the chamber after a gas malfunction, the prisoners reportedly panicked and begged for the stimulant to be restored. That detail aligns disturbingly with known neurological findings. Extreme sleep deprivation can produce a state where the brain, flooded with stress hormones and dopamine dysregulation, resists shutdown despite catastrophic fatigue. Human beings can remain awake for 11 days, as proven in controlled 1960s experiments, but beyond that point, cognitive collapse becomes profound. Memory fragments. Time perception dissolves. Emotional response detaches from reality. The alleged Soviet file claims that when soldiers entered the chamber, the prisoners exhibited severe self-inflicted injuries yet remained conscious and unusually resistant to sedation. While no verified medical data supports such extreme resilience, it is true that severe sleep deprivation can drastically alter pain perception, cardiovascular stability, and stress response thresholds. One of the final statements attributed to a surviving subject describes something that sounds less biological and more philosophical, as if the absence of sleep did not merely exhaust the body, but stripped away psychological safeguards, revealing a layer of consciousness usually suppressed by nightly restoration. Modern neuroscience defines sleep as a reset mechanism essential for synaptic pruning, emotional regulation, toxin clearance, and memory consolidation. Remove it long enough, and the brain begins to malfunction in measurable, frightening ways. But does it unlock something deeper, or simply unravel the fragile architecture of the human mind? No official Soviet archives confirm that such an experiment occurred, and historians have found no authenticated records describing this specific program. Yet the story persists, not because of documented proof, but because it sits uncomfortably close to biological plausibility. Sleep deprivation alone can induce paranoia, hallucinations, aggression, and personality fragmentation. The human face can grow gaunt and distorted under prolonged stress. The mind can fracture when denied its restorative cycle. Whether the Russian sleep experiment was an abandoned Cold War program, a fabricated psychological horror narrative, or a distorted echo of real research, it endures because it forces a question that science itself cannot fully answer: how much of who we are depends on sleep, and what remains when it is taken away?